I'm Madison Nygard, and I escaped my abductor. I was supposed to go out with my friend Alyssa, and I ended up going out with my other friend, and we went to this one party out in the woods. The cops had came. So we got an address to a house party, and we had went there. We partied all night until sunrise came. Jake is supposed to bring me home from that party. When it's time for me to go home, his other friend had locked himself in the car with the keys. We did try to wake up his friend in the car, and he just was not waking up. At this point, I just want to get home, and I figured I didn't think I was that far from my house, so I thought if I just started walking, I'd be able to figure it out. All the roads looked the same, and I realized I didn't really know which way to go or how to get home. At the time, my cell phone was not active. I had no way to contact anybody. At that point, I felt like I was walking for hours. I just wanted to get home, feeling lost, helpless, crying, and just kept walking. As I'm walking down the road, a van had approached me. There was definitely a moment of relief. He had asked me if I wanted a lift, and I had told him no, and I asked him if I could just use his phone to call my mother.
The driver tells Madison he has a cell phone and she's welcome to use it.
I was very excited when he had told me I could use his phone. I'm finally gonna be able to get home now. He had told me to just hop in and I could use his phone. I didn't really feel threatened by him at all. I don't think I was really even thinking much into it. I was hopeless and desperate to get home, and I had felt like he wasn't gonna put me in any harm. So I figured just to get in the van. And as soon as I got into his van, he had rolled up his windows and locked the doors. At that point, I kind of knew something was off. I didn't want to seem rude, so I'd ask him nicely. And I told him, I said, I don't mean to be rude, and just please roll the windows back down. And he didn't say anything. And then I had asked him, as he was turning onto a road, to use his cell phone. And at that point, he had told me that his cell phone was dead. I told him, let me out of his van. And at that point, he's just staring at me and not saying completely anything to me. I did not have a curfew. Nobody knew where I was, what I was doing. No one was expecting me. I just felt hopeless. At this point, I know I'm in danger. My nerves were all over the place. And I knew, obviously, this guy did not have good intentions with me. I keep telling him, like, let me out, and let me out. He had reached under his seat and pulled out a gun. I noticed that there was an orange tip on it, so I thought maybe it wasn't a real gun, but I definitely wasn't gonna take my chances if it was or wasn't. At that point, I knew I had to get out of his van one way or another. I unlocked the door, and I just jumped out. I knew I didn't have a second to spare, so fight or flight kicked in, and I just took off. I had looked behind me to see if he was still there, and he was standing right behind his van with his gun aimed at me. I'm running, and I'm wondering, like, why is he not shooting me? But I'm not even taking any risk, and I just keep running. Saw a house, and it was the first house I saw, and there was a girl sitting out there on her porch. And she had heard me screaming. She hadn't opened up her door enough for me to come in and kept telling me to come into her house.
Madison asks the woman to call 911.
You get 911, where's your emergency?
Please come immediately. We have a man that has picked up a girl and he has a gun and he's outside the house.
Okay, we're gonna get help there, okay? Stay on the line with me, okay? Stay on the line with me. Who has a gun?
Well, there was a girl, she just ran up into my yard.
Can I talk to her?
Yeah, here she is. Hello?
Hi, this is 911, okay? What happened?
My mom.
Okay.
I do remember calling for my mom, my best friend at that time, and I think that's all I wanted and who I wanted.
I need to go to the hospital. I jump out of his car. Why don't
Okay,
you
do you want an ambulance?
Yes.
Madison hides in the house until an ambulance arrives and takes her to the hospital. The driver and his van are nowhere to be found.